Yeah, nah, to be honest, I don't even think we've covered anything that has to do with Gen X on this channel. So, yo, yeah, new entry, ladies and gentlemen. Gen X has just hit the scene on this channel, right? Apparently, there's a brutal truth that we can, you know, zoom into and learn from about Gen X. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know what feral and free means. But, yeah, let's lock into that and see what it actually means, right? Alright, so feral and free. I don't know what feral and free means, but the brutal truth about Gen X. Apparently there's a brutal truth that we need to understand about Gen X. I'm saying, put me on, brother.
Before we go any further, I need everyone born after 1995 to take a massive chill pill. Seriously. If you're the type of person who
what are you talking about? I don't even like taking pills, bro.
Requires a trigger warning for harsh vibes, or if you believe that silence is a form of violence, you should probably just click away now. Go watch a loop of someone cutting kinetic sand. This video isn't for you. This is going to hurt your feelings. This is for the last generation of free-range humans, the heathens, the ones who know what hose water tastes like. We're talking about Generation X, but we're not talking about birth years or marketing demographics.
Yeah.
We're talking about a specific psychological profile,
Okay.
a heathen mindset that's currently running the world while everyone else is either screaming at the sky or crying in a TikTok. Let's be real for a second. The headlines are always about the boomers refusing to retire or Gen Z having a nervous breakdown because they had to make a phone call to order pizza.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Gen X is just there, doing the work,
Doing the
paying
work.
the bills, fixing the Wi-Fi.
Yo.
We're the whatever generation. But that whatever isn't apathy. It's a dismissal. It's a rejection of the drama. It's the attitude of a generation that realized very early on that nobody was coming to save us, so we better figure it out ourselves. Modern parenting experts look back at the 1970s and 80s with absolute horror. They see neglect. They see safety hazards. They see a world without bicycle helmets, seatbelts, or GPS trackers. And as if they're right. It was dangerous. It was neglectful by today's sanitized standards.
Yep.
But here's the thing they don't get. That neglect wasn't a bug in the system, it was the feature. That lack of supervision didn't traumatize us.
Damn.
It forged us. It created an evolutionary bottleneck that only the resourceful survived. It built a specific type of brain wiring that's becoming extinct. A brain that's comfortable with risk, tolerant of boredom, and completely immune to the need for constant validation. So, gag me with a spoon if you think we had it hard.
Why?
We didn't have it hard. We had it glorious. We were raised by heathens, and it made us elite. And while
Yeah, and I feel like this is one of those things where we really have to recognize like how these different generations have been raised, right? Because to even see neglect as you know, something that's finna complement your journey, dog, instead of like break you or damage you or something like that. You know what I mean? Because, you know, as the video suggests, bro, they were neglected, you know, just so that they could learn how to handle things, you know, themselves. And I feel like, you know, that's admirable. But I'm telling you, tell that to like a Gen Z or a Gen Beta, like neglect them. Oh my gosh, it's like, yo, you're the devil himself. You feel what I'm saying? It's very interesting to see, you know. That's why I wanna point out the contrasts or the contrasting energies of just like how the different generations were raised up, and just like, you know, why we have the parents that we got. You know what I'm saying? And like understanding that previous generation and why they justify the things that they justify about life, and why they may be judging you the way that they judge you. You know what I'm saying? Considering like your different outlook compared to theirs on this life thing. You know what I'm saying? So it was like Gen X was the generation of the resourceful. It made or developed the resourceful. You know what I'm saying? The resourceful aspect of the collective of human beings. It's here more.
you're hyperventilating about your lived experience,
Yep.
we're going to break down exactly why our feral childhood made us the only adults capable of handling the absolute dumpster fire that is 2025.
Okay.
Buckle up. Or don't. We didn't wear seatbelts anyway. Let's talk about the logistics of the 1970s.
Let's do it.
I don't mean the culture, I mean the physical rules of engagement, the geography of our existence. If you're a Zoomer, I want you to imagine a world where you leave your house at 9 a.m. on a Saturday and nobody, literally nobody, knows where you are until the sun goes down.
Sheesh.
No Apple Watch, no Find My Friends, no text check-ins. You're simply gone.
No
You
air
vanished
tags.
into the landscape. This is the black hole phenomenon. For a modern parent, that's a kidnapping scenario. For a Gen X kid,
Yes.
that was just a regular Tuesday. We operated under one supreme law. It was the only rule that mattered, and it was non-negotiable. Be home when the streetlights come on. That was it. That
Be home when the streetlights come on, yo.
was the entire safety protocol. It didn't matter if you were 2 blocks away or 2
I'm not gonna lie, millennials also kind of had that, right? Be home, be home. I mean, there was an aspect. Look, things have changed, right? And I know that a whole lot of millennials, the millennial thing was the whole in-between thing, right? Where it's like, you know, we did experience the whole old school version of things, you know what I'm saying? Where, yo, you come back with, you come back after that street light comes on, and this palm right here is what you'll have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? It's not no grounding or I'll take your phone away. Nigga, what phone, nigga? What phone? You know what I'm saying? Hey, grounded into what room? I didn't even have my own room, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So you gonna have to deal with this for sure. But then again, you know, transition to the time where it's like, yo, yeah, things have changed. It's like, yo, have you heard you're not supposed to be physically touching me like that, nigga? That's abuse. You ain't heard of that? Huh? You better watch out. Not gonna lie. Right? So millennials kind of just also kind of had that, because I remember growing up, like the whole be home before the street light comes on, it was a thing. And I literally had my first phone, I don't know, like somewhere in middle school, somewhere there. You know, I was not born into this kind of shit. So I guess we were like, I feel like millennials were the last of a dying breed in terms of exhibiting the, like exhibiting similar energy to the Gen Xers. You know?
miles away in a drainage ditch looking for frogs. You had to have the internal clock to know when the sun...
That was a time, boy. That was vibes. You just go disappearing in the woods, go looking for frogs. That was vibes. That was a good time. This was a good day. That was a great day, nigga. You feel me? Now, just a slight little disconnection, slight little irritation with the Wi-Fi connection. Oh my God, it's the death of niggas.
sun was going down.
That's crazy.
You had to have the leg speed to get back to the crib before those sodium vapor lights buzzed to life.
Yeah.
If you missed that window, you didn't get a timeout or a gentle discussion about boundaries. You got the wooden spoon. This created something researchers call unsupervised autonomy wiring.
Yep.
But we just called it figuring it out. Think about the
Figure it out.
geography of it. You had to know your neighborhood like a soldier knows a battlefield.
Exactly.
You knew which fences had loose boards you could slip through. You knew which dogs were all bark and which ones would actually take a chunk out of your leg. You knew the shortcuts through the woods that weren't on any map. You were navigating the physical world with zero digital assistance. And let's talk about the hydration situation. This is the ultimate litmus test. If you're thirsty today, you reach for a filtered, BPA-free water bottle filled with electrolytes. We didn't have that. We had the hose water doctrine. Drinking from the hose wasn't just about water. It was a strategic decision. To go inside the house was to risk being seen by a parent. If you went inside, you might get tasked with chores, you might get stuck. The inside was the parent zone. The outside was the heathen zone. You had to stay in the zone to maintain your freedom.
Yeah.
So you drank the hose water. It tasted like warm rubber, lead, and metallic pennies, and it was the best damn water on earth because it tasted like independence. If you can still taste the metallic rubber of a garden hose right now, drop a yes, sir, in the comments.
No, we're not doing that. No. It's 26, brother. It's not 96.
Let's see who really lived this life. This environment created a generation with independent scores that are off the charts. We don't need micromanagement at work because we didn't have it at age 8. And we don't need you to tell us how to do our jobs.
Why not?
We figured out how to survive an entire summer without adult intervention.
Right.
We can probably figure out how to use a spreadsheet. We were little nomads, operating in a tribe of other little nomads, policing our own disputes and managing our own territories. Dude, it was epic. If things got too heavy, we'd just bail. We solved our own problems, and we liked it that way. Now stay with me because we're
was the iPad. Let's hear it.
moving from the street to the brain. We need to talk about the chemical state of the Gen X mind. The modern brain, specifically the Gen Z brain, is a dopamine junkie. It's addicted to the scroll. It needs constant high-velocity input. 15-second videos, notifications, dings, buzzes. If a modern kid has to sit still for 30 seconds, they physically recoil. Their brain...
Yo, and I'm actually thinking, bro, when it comes to like addictions and things like that, right? When it comes to addictions and just like self-discipline and, you know what I'm saying? developing the self for the better and things like that. Like, which put it in the comments. Which generation do you think has it harder in terms of even just like locking in, like being able to lock in? Because like, the person in this video is just like mentioning how they didn't have much of these devices that would just like keep people in certain zones where they just like are seeking for cheap dopamine, and that's their addiction, and all this ADHD because of all the overstimulation that goes on, in today's age. They didn't have none of that, But then at the same time, that presents a sort of limitation where it's like your world is so limited. You know less of the world. Like a kid, a Gen X 12-year-old knows less of his own world in the present moment than a Gen Z 12-year-old. You know what I'm saying? And therefore, even just like their opportunity to advance in life, the Gen Z's potential is heightened. There's more potential because those boundaries have been just like opened up a little bit more. You know what I mean? In terms of even the reach and understanding more of the world. Whereas, you were Gen X, all you knew was your neighborhood. That's it. Nothing else existed outside of your neighborhood in your own head, right? Type shit. So it's like, which generation had the real advantage there? Because that's the question that's like hitting me right now. Put it in the comments, man.
Screams for a hit of digital sugar. Gen X, we're the masters of the void. We grew up in a world where boredom wasn't just possible, it was the default state of existence.
It was the only reality that you can exist in.
There were 3 channels on the TV.
That's it.
And usually, 2 of them were showing the news or golf. There was no internet, no video games in your pocket. If it was raining and you couldn't go outside, you entered the phantom zone of boredom. You'd stare at the ceiling fan. You'd read the back of a cereal box for the 50th time. You'd reorganize your baseball cards. You'd lay on the floor and count the patterns in the carpet. And then, inevitably, you'd make the mistake of walking into the kitchen and sighing, "Mom, I'm bored." And she'd hit you with the phrase that triggered our neural evolution, "Go find something to do, or I will find something for you to do." It wasn't a suggestion.
Yeah, you never wanted the old folk to find something for you to do, man.
That was a threat. Finding something for you to do meant scrubbing the baseboards with a toothbrush.
Oh, that's crazy.
So you pivoted. You initiated the find something to do protocol. This is where executive function comes from. When you're stripped of external entertainment, your brain has to manufacture its own. You have to invent a game. You have to build a fort out of couch cushions. You have to write a story. You have to disassemble the toaster just to see how it works. That's how we rewired our brains. Neuroscience tells us that this state, this constructive boredom, is the incubator of creativity and problem solving. We learned to sit with our own thoughts without panicking. We learned that the silence wasn't empty, it was a canvas. Gen X possesses what psychologists call analog patience. We learned to wait. And I don't mean waiting for a web page to load, I mean waiting. Think about the waiting game. If you missed your favorite TV show on Tuesday night, you waited 24 weeks for the rerun in the summer. If you took a picture on a camera, you waited 2 weeks to get the film developed, only to find out your thumb was over the lens. That's bogus. If you wanted to hear a specific song, you sat by the radio with a cassette tape, finger hovering over the record button, waiting for the DJ to shut up.
Nah, but I'm not gonna lie, bro. These people have W patience for that, dog. You know what I'm saying? This kind of thing, like, it grew neighbors' patience like a mug, bro. I ain't gonna lie. That's crazy.
You couldn't just stream it. You had to hunt for it.
You had to hunt.
We waited for the mail. We waited for the phone to ring. We waited for the library to open. This rewired our dopamine receptors.
You waited 2 weeks for the next episode of your favorite show to commence. You know what I'm saying? For the next episode to just come on. Like, you had to wait like right now? Oh, hell nah. Look at that contrast. That's
Conditioned
crazy.
For instant gratification.
Yeah.
We play the long game. We understand that anticipation is part of the payoff. We aren't frantic. We aren't tripping over ourselves to get the next hit. We can sit in a meeting without checking our phone. We can stand in line without losing our minds. We're comfortable in the silence because we were born in it. We're the home slice of patience. And in a world of attention deficits, that makes us the most dangerous people in the room. All right, we've covered the neighborhood and the brain. Now we need to talk about the body, the sensory experience of being a Gen X kid. If you're a parent today, your primary job is safety officer. You have corner guards on the tables, you have rubber matting under the playground equipment, you have helmets for walking. The modern world is soft, rounded, and sanitized. The 1970s were made of concrete, rusted metal, and gravity. We didn't have safe spaces, we had the structurally unsound ramp. Every Gen X kid at some point found a piece of plywood and a cinder block and decided to jump a bicycle over it. We didn't calculate the physics, we didn't check the structural integrity, we just pedaled as fast as we could and hoped for the best. And usually, we crashed, hard. We face planted into the asphalt, we scraped the skin off our knees, we twisted ankles, we got the wind knocked out of us. And here's the crucial part. Nobody called an ambulance, nobody sued the city. You laid on the ground, you assessed the damage, you checked to see if your bike was okay, and you got back up. This is where we developed risk calibration. You see, you can't teach a child the difference between scary and dangerous with a PowerPoint presentation. They have to feel it. Scary is climbing the big oak tree. Dangerous is climbing the dead branch on the big oak tree. You only learn the difference when the branch snaps. We learned physics through direct feedback. We learned that fire burns, that knives cut, and that if you go too fast on a skateboard with loose trucks, you get the death wobbles and eat pavement. Wicked, right? This sounds barbaric to a Zoomer, but it was essential data entry for the nervous system. Because we experienced minor trauma, broken bones, stitches, concussions that we just walked off, we stopped fearing it. We realized that pain is temporary. We realized that we're durable. This is why Gen X is fearless. It's not that we're brave, it's that we have a higher threshold for panic. When a crisis hits at work, when the market crashes, when the server goes down,
what happens?
Gen Z looks for an adult. Gen X looks at the problem and says, well, at least I'm not bleeding. Our scars were trophies. If you came to school with a cast on your arm, you were a legend. It was sketchy, and we loved it. Hit the like button if you still have a scar on your knee from 1985 that you treat like a trophy.
Whoa.
We carry that physicality with us.
Why would
we
you?
understand that the world is sharp. We understand that you can't bubble wrap reality. So when we see trigger warnings on a syllabus or people claiming that words